Whether you're a seasoned gardener or nature lover, plant assassin or permaculture professional, we got you. We got you. Let us bring you the ideas, the facts, support and inspiration to go green wherever you are. Sundays 9 to 10 a.m. only on Radio Al-Ansar.
Well, if she doesn't come on, then I'll answer the question anyway.
A little boy went first day at school. He got spray and then he started to draw. He put colors all over the paper. Colors was what he saw. The teacher said, "What you doing, man?
Now my son,
This is not the time for our
my boy.
And anyway,
He'll be so embarrassed. Mom, don't put my phone up picture on your phone. Be like,
you got to show concern for
It's
everyone
okay.
else. You're not the only one. And she said, flowers are red, green leaves are green. There's no need to see flowers any other way than the way they always have been seen. But the little boy said, there's so many colors in the rainbow, so many colors in the morning sun, so many colors in the flower, and I see every
remember she gave me.
Well, the teacher said, you're sassy. There's a way that things should be.
Okay, shall we bring it in? Are we on there?
So repeat after me. She said, flowers are red, green leaves are green.
That's why you
There's
put
no
it here.
need to
Okay.
see flowers any other way than the way they always have.
Hey, 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 it's Green Thumbs Up Day. It is Sunday. What a beautiful, warm Sunday. And how lovely was it to have Sister Miss Mira on our airwaves first thing in the morning. We miss you too, buddy. Inshallah, back with us soon. So welcome to Green Thumbs Up. We are that natural living show, that gardening show you didn't know you needed. And whether you're listening to us on 90.4 FM or on 105.6 in Pietermaritzburg, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You can catch us on Facebook Live as well as YouTube, and that is Radio Al-Ansar. Who else? Of course, it is Radio Al-Ansar. That Dini connection with the Jannah intention. Yes, we are here. How has this week been? My hat in a basket of eggs. Has it not been hot like a potato? My goodness, it has been very, very, very hot. The heat has been something else. So folks, remember to stay cool and hydrated in this weather. A few weeks ago, I think over a month ago, we had someone on the show that was telling us about the dangers of gardening all the way from Australia, and that we were talking about dehydration. That recipe again for you so that you don't dehydrate or people around you don't dehydrate. It is a glass of water, pinch of bicarbonate of soda, and a pinch of pink salt. It's all it is, really. Those are your basics for your electrolyte. And then, yes, you can add some lemon juice and you can add some honey. Why not? You know, especially if it's for the little kiddos, make it taste like a lemonade. Why not? Now, I have a joke for brother Asfat Fili, who is in studio this morning as our engineer. Asfat, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
So tell me, why did the flower want to leave the tree? Why did the flower want to leave the tree?
I have no idea.
Because the tree be shady. We are corny as ever on this show. Yes, we are corny as ever on this show. In fact, I think I had another one that I saw this morning and I thought, my goodness, that's rather funny. So let me see. In the meantime, I've got a tip for everybody here for the gloves on. A little tip for you growing your veggies that want to make your veggies and your fruit kind of get a little bit of whoops, wops, vooma, what you're going to take is 50 grams of brown sugar or molasses. That's that dark brown, blackish, wonderful sugary thing. And then you're going to add that to 100 mils of water. That's really all you need. Now, you could get some agricultural urea as well, and that would be another 50 grams of that. Dilute that into 30 mils of water. Easy peasy Japanesey. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and dilute the whole shkaboodles into 50 liters of water. Imagine that. Now, you're only going to need to use that once every 3 weeks or so, and it's going to perk your plants right up, especially in this hot weather, right? Speaking of sugar, I had a couple of orchids. I'm not sure if I told you folks last week. I might have told you, my dear listener, that my orchids were looking rather pitiful after all the heat that we've been having. And so I gave it a cup of coffee. Yes, a cup of coffee. All you need is some coffee that you would normally put into a machine, so the coffee grounds. I took a tablespoon of that. I put that into 2.5 liters of water. And then I saw my chucked in another 2 tablespoons of sugar. Gave it a stir. And boy, oh, did my orchids not love it. Yes, I did. I actually washed the orchid leaves. And some of my dendrobian orchids, and those are the orchids, not the kind you get from the pick-a-pockets, but the ones that look like tall stems. Those, they absolutely loved it. And not only that, but they are giving out new little shoots at this time, new little leaves. So wow, awesomeness. Now, last week, if you remember, my dear listener, I did a whole little demo on some anti-aging things. Okay, we spoke about a few things, and as is wont to happen most weeks, is after the show and during the week, I get quite a lot of phone calls from my dear listeners who are too shy to phone in on a Sunday. It's okay, but remember, you can WhatsApp us too. 0861 904 904 is the number to dial, but our WhatsApp number is 060 904 1056. And you can WhatsApp us all of your questions. Now, this sister, her name is HALIMA. She contacted me. We said we would chat on the line this morning, but it's very difficult to get a hold of her. Mind you, HALIMA is in her 80s, and she is just the most joy-filled sister you've ever come across. Did we have a good old chinwag this week? It was super awesome. And Halima said she was sitting and listening, as she is wont to do every week. And she was sat near the radio listening to this and writing down copious notes of all these anti-aging things. And there was a couple of things she related to. One of them was the hot water and then cold water. Remember, we said to switch hot water and cold water over, and that gives you, it refreshes the skin. But she said she was waiting the whole show for me to talk about age spots and pigmentation. So I'm going to pick that up for you very briefly before we talk to Dr. CARY Goodwin. Boom, boom, boom. She's with us normally once a month to every 6 weeks, and we talk to Dr. CARY Goodwin, who is an expert on all things gardening, and boy oh, especially when it comes to water preservation and how to improve your soil. Today she's going to be talking to us about exotic, lesser known fruit trees that are actually indigenous to South Africa. But first, I want to give away those tips from Sister Halima, who contacted me in the week. So if you're out there, Halima, we couldn't reach you, my darling, but inshallah, you are listening in and you can get these tips. Sister Fatima Effendi sends us, Assalamu alaikum. What about banana peels in water for the plants? Yes. Banana peels in water, leave them overnight. Works wonderfully for plants, for your orchids as well. And you know what? Fatima, if you actually add a little bit of milk to that banana water, you're also being able to fight mildew. So if you've got indoor plants with these lovely big leaves, maybe you've got a nice ficus or something, you can actually wipe those leaves down as you would with your orchids. Now, that's going to fight the aging of your orchid leaves. And speaking about aging, I want to answer this question from Halima in terms of the age spots. There's a couple of things you can do for your age spots. Now, one of my favorites is Swedish bitters. The Swedish bitters is an old recipe from the early 1800s from several doctors, and they were Swedish. So this is my impression of a German, come French, come Swedish, come I don't know, but yes, they came up with Swedish bitters. Now, be careful when you go out to the stores and looking for Swedish bitters, because some of them are alcohol-based in an alcohol suspension, and some of them are not. So have a look-see. Now, Swedish bitters are phantasmagorically fantastic for age spots. All you do is take that Swedish bitter, pop it on the age spot, so they look like little shall we say, patches that come up, and we all get them. So if you're sitting there listening and you're one of our Gen Zers, and you know, and you're giving main character and you're saying, Slay, I don't think I'm gonna have this, then I would say, yeah, you are. We're all gonna get age spots sooner or later. So Swedish bitters are a great. Put that on the age spot and leave it, and do this every single day. Couple of messages before I give you more of those age tips from Faz. Assalamu alaikum, Rabia. Awesome show. I don't have a garden, but do have a balcony where you get lovely morning sunshine. Oh, wonderful, mashallah. Please guide me to how I can do pot planting and what flowers can last a very long time. Jazakallah khairan. So let me, we're going to be jumping around a little. Let's answer this question. So, first of all, when we are talking about balconies, go out in the morning. Have a look. Where does the sun come up? Where does the sun go down? Where is there a lot of heat? Because those walls can reflect heat. And so you want plants that are, heat tolerant. And where is it more shady and cool, so that you can then decide where you want to put your plants. For your pot plants, remember, always use gravel at the bottom, so that you have a little bit of drainage. Plants do not like to have their feet wet. So some gravel at the bottom of the pot. Make sure there's holes at the bottom of the plot. And here's a special tip. Put some fabric down. You got some old fabric, an old t-shirt, cut it open, lay it over the gravel, and then put your potting mix in with your compost. 2 parts potting soil, 1 pot compost works great. And if it's a plant that likes a lot of space in its roots, throw in some perlite or some vermiculite to aerate the soil, make it a little bit lighter. And then you can plant pretty much anything. You can have plants on the ground. You can remember your vertical spaces, so you can plant up against the wall. This morning I harvested some Ashley cucumbers, and boy, oh, are they big. Boy, got out there this morning. I thought, oh, what gives? Cucumbers they giving. They give big. Ooh, they were cool cucumbers. And I picked, Asfat is having a good old chuckle over here. I picked 3 of them. And I promise there are easy another 6 of them hanging off. So I've got them growing up against the inside of the greenhouse. And man alive, are these leaves big. So you could plant vertically. You could plant in your pots, and remember, you can suspend from the ceilings and pots, and you can grow them that way too, and you can make it look really, really pretty, like a jungle. Remember to use companion planting, so there's a guide as well. Get some of those Indian marigolds, those black and yellow ones. African marigolds as well work great to keep away the bugs. Plant a little bit of borage among things just to keep, aphids at bay. And that's a really good tip, those are some tips for you for planting those. Another question came in, where can I put my mint plant? Mint is one of those things that'll take over and will grow pretty much anywhere. So if you've got semi-shade, if you've got full sun, you can put it in the ground, you can put it on a pot, and it'll take over the surface. So you've got some lovely mulch. And if you keep clipping mint back, it's going to keep growing. So another question that we have here. Let me just answer this one that came in from Zulaka Mustafa. She says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you and your families, my duas, is for today, tomorrow, and every day till life goes on. May the nur, for those who are not Arabic, that means light, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shine upon our homes, the strength of Iman stay in our hearts. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower his countless blessings upon us. Ameen, ameen, ya Rabbul Alameen. Take good care and take good precautions on yourselves. Lots and lots of love and du'as for your entire family. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz. Subhanallah. What a lovely message this morning. So inspiring. See, so nice it's summer. So nice, eh? Everybody's so lovely. It's wonderful to have a show on gardening and natural living. Going back to those anti-age spots, lemon juice is one that you can use. A kind of a bleaching agent, really, if you think of lemon juice or even apple cider vinegar. You can use those alone, or you can add those to the Swedish bitters that I was mentioning. Put a little bit of cotton wool on the age spot, strap it in place with a band-aid. That'll allow the stuff to stay on there for a little longer and kind of even out the skin tone. But you know, if you watch me on the socials, if you follow me on TikTok or Instagram like Coach Rabia, you will see that I do quite a lot of stuff on anti-aging, and there's so many tips there. And for age spots, as well as what Halima asked about as well, was pigmentation and melasma, of course, being the marks that one gets on the forehead or on the face, sometimes small patches, sometimes bigger patches. And there is a secret weapon of the cosmetics industry that is actually very cheap, very easy to use, but it is wonderful for lightening skins. And in South Africa, we actually are not allowed to sell skin whitening products yet. Should you want one, licorice root, that is the one you want to get. You wanted to get the licorice root, you wanted to put it in the water, you wanted to have the boiling water in there, leave it in for 10 minutes, and then you have this tea. So it's a teaspoon of the dry licorice root. You're going to put a cup of boiling water, let it stand for 10 minutes, strain it. If you were to drink that is going to balance your blood sugar levels. It's going to help you to lose weight. It's going to help your body to start producing its own collagen from the inside out. But if you were to use it on the outside, now you're fighting psoriasis. Now you're fighting eczema. Now you're getting rid of pigmentation, dark spots, and melasma. So anything that contains licorice root is your friend. It is your friend. There's a message that has come in this morning from our Makada. Hope you and all at the station are in good health. Lovely to listen to you, Rabia. Always learn a lot from you. Alhamdulillah. Please, can I have the name of the meds you enlightened us with? Sorry, can you mention its name and where do I get it? So the medication, which really is a natural remedy, is called Swedish bitters. So Swedish as in it comes from Sweden, although it does not. Let me just say, it was first kind of commercialized by these two doctors in Switzerland, but it's way older than that. Swedish bitters is what it is. You can get it at any health store. You can get it at some of the big pharmacies. I won't mention the names on here because we all know who they are. And some of us are supporting some and some of us are not, because we must boycott, continue to boycott until our brothers and sisters in Palestine are free. We do not endorse with our pocket that which does not endorse life. And that is my little soapbox moment for today. Yes, that is Swedish bitters. Swedish bitters has many, many uses. Just let me tell you, sister that has messaged here, Armakada. I wish I had the whole name here. Let me have a look and see. No, we don't. But nonetheless, Swedish bitters is a great one for heart health, for immune health, for lupus and autoimmune diseases as well. It's interesting one because for autoimmune diseases, you don't really want to build someone's immune system. And yet Swedish bitter seems to help. And I personally believe that it could have something to do with the fact that it does contain aloe vera and that it is a bitter. If you remember a few weeks ago, we spoke about bitter herbs that are good for health. Those are one of them is aloe vera. So now Halima, when she spoke to me, she asked me, could you look into a certain product that's out there in some of the new cosmetics? Is it safe? Is it natural? And she didn't know the name of it. She thought it was Thiamidol. But so I looked it up, dear folks, and it is Thiamidol or Thiamidol, if you'd like. It's a chemical concoction that has been made, and it is not natural. And if you were to use licorice root, you may find that licorice root is a lot stronger and much more helpful than this chemical. However, if you're going to get some of the over-counter cosmetics, the more kind of recent ones, you will find that they contain that ingredient. So Brother MH Osman messages us this morning. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Rabia. Walaikum salam. Good listening to you. I installed water tanks in my yard. The downpipes from the gutter are connected to tanks to save rainwater, which is used for garden and many other chores in and around the yard. Subhanallah, that's awesome, awesome, awesome. What a wonderful watery idea. And did you know that if you have that first water tank, I remember we had a show where we spoke to a sister that taught us all about off-grid living. And just this week also, I was talking to our Australian gardener and was saying the same thing. You take that first water tank that the rain comes into, and you can then take that water and send it into another water tank. But the pipes connecting the two should be higher up in the tank. So the first tank collects all the water, the sediment drops to the bottom. As the water level rises, it flows into your second tank. And then if your tap has a little filter, you have some really, really superb water that you can potentially drink. But always make sure that you get your water tested, right? Because there's so much stuff that gets into our waters nowadays. Now we're going to go to a very quick ad break, and don't go away, because immediately after the ad break, I've got Dr. CARY Goodwin joining us, who's a regular on the show. She's going to take us through some of those exotic fruits. So we'll be back right after this little break with Green Thumbs Up.
Radio Al Ansar, 24/7, 365.
Butterlicious, all about
butterlicious, butterlicious. When the food melts in my mouth, so does my heart. Blended by our expert chefs with pure cotton seed oil. Divine lasts longer, so cook more with Divine. Divine makes every meal a special treat. It is Butterlicious. Approved as part of the Heart and Stroke Foundation Eating Plan, Cotton Mark SA, and a proudly South African product. Divine Cooking Oil. Butterlicious.
You've spent all that time, effort, and energy putting together an incredible business. Now, you need to tell people about your business. Advertising and marketing, it's what we do. Listen to this.
I'd like to say thank you to Al Ansar, because after we ate last week, massive feedback, massive interest, which has been great. We've got so many potential clients in all the different areas, from Pietermaritzburg to Durban North to Virginia.
Speak directly to your target audience. Get in touch with our sales department on 031 208 1601.
Rabia, have you heard about the Durban Summer Suck? It's happening from the 25th December to 5th January at the Durban Exhibition Centre.
Oh my god, yes!
Oh,
I've
is
been
this the
dying for
control
something
for the
like
WhatsApp?
this. Over
Oh, yeah.
300
Yeah, it
stores
is. I
with
just
all
wanna
kinds
see
of
the other one
shopping,
while I open
local
this
and
one.
international stuff. It's going to be epic.
Oh, that's so cute.
And there's
Okay.
food stalls,
Wanna
so we
answer
can
this
eat our
question
way
on that
through the
one
whole
straight away?
place. What do you think? Burgers or sushi first?
Was it today?
And did you hear that there's going to
We
be
are.
entertainment every single
Yes.
day?
There's so many
games
comments and things coming in.
I'm so ready to win a prize.
Yes,
It's
I
another
need to
day
get me
in-
one of those giant teddy bears.
What-
Oh, and there's ton of
Sorry?
stuff for kids
It's another
too,
day
so
at
it's
the shop.
perfect for a day out with the
Gosh,
family.
man.
Sounds like fun.
You know what?
Ultimate
If
summer
you're
hangout.
doing
We
it
have
all the
to go
time, it does
together
kind of
midday to
take the
midnight
joy out of it a
every
little
day.
bit.
I'm in.
Let's do it.
Mm.
Durban Summer Sook, here we
You
come.
said it's a
Shopping,
Sunday.
food, fun.
Mm.
It's going to
I
be
do
amazing.
enjoy it. I do.
Radio Star. Boom, boom, boom.
And welcome back to Green Thumbs Up. I am Rabia Carvalho, and I'm with you this morning every Sunday, in fact, from 9 to 10 a.m. with Green Thumbs Up, that gardening and natural living show you didn't know you needed. Now, CARY Goodwin, Dr. CARY Goodwin is waiting for us on the line, and yet I have two quick messages that came in that I want to address. The one is from Shahida Bibi, and she says, Assalamu alaikum, sister. My curry leaves is not growing lush like it used to, and it has powdery stuff on the leaves. I'm going to let Dr. CARY Goodwin field this one in a moment. And then Razia Khan, Rabia, salams. How are you, my love? Salaam alaikum, Rabia. Guess what? Just took a walk down my driveway, admired my plants, hugged my lemon tree, and the walk did us good, barefoot. So ladies, go walk barefoot outside and feel Mother Earth. Walaikum salam. And that is beautiful. Absolutely. Grounding. Keep that energy down. Did you know that when you put your feet on the bare earth, there's a reason why you feel good? And that is because all those excess electrons that are running around in your body go into the earth. Boop, and you're good to go. So Dr. CARY Goodwin, sorry to keep you waiting, my love. How are you this morning?
Very, very good. Thanks. And you?
I'm good, thank you.
See you.
Yes, it's
such a
good to
great-
see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to see you. And she's joining us. She's joining us live. So if you want to put the face to the name, go on over to Facebook or YouTube to Radio Al Ansar, and you can have a hello to Dr. CARY Goodwin. Now, that question that came in before we speak fruit trees with regarding curry bush. So I've got a few ideas, but I want to leave it with you. So the question was, my curry leaf plants are not growing lush like they used to, and it has powdery stuff on the leaves. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going, actually, my curry leaf plant is doing exactly the same thing. When I was looking yesterday, and I'm thinking, hang on a sec, you're supposed to be amazing. But I think, and we were chatting with our team this morning, that the weather conditions have been a little bit funny for plants to thrive. They've been very hot, very cold, very wet, very dry. And so I think our plants are super stressed. And so you have to make sure that you've given them enough, good soil, good potting soil if it's in a pot, or good compost, a nice mulch on top. Because even that little that's powdery mildew probably. It could be powdery millibug. They're very difficult when you describe it on the phone. Could be, but it's probably powdery mildew, which is almost like a overwatering. Or you're watering late in the evening, and then you get that nice moisture in the air and the humidity, and the mildew saying, "Oh, this is good growing for me." So I think you have to change your watering habits and try and water early in the morning if possible. And as I say, maybe give a generous dose of good fertilizer, nice organic fertilizer, to try and get your curry leaf to start growing again. I know that's what I'm going to be doing when I go home this afternoon, because I just looked at it and I thought, hang on a sec, you are a gift from somebody and you're looking terrible. I need to make you right. So I don't know if you would agree or not, if those are good ideas.
Absolutely. I think feed your plants. Sometimes we think we put it in a plant, we've given it soil, we've given it compost, it must carry on now. Carry on, but it doesn't really. And I mentioned that coffee and sugar, dear listener. Give it a cup of coffee. Yes. Take some coffee grounds. Yeah, take some coffee grounds, pour the boiling water over a tablespoon of coffee grounds, 2 liters of water, and add the sugar. But in this case, you're not going to water the leaves. Because it's powdery mildew, you want to put that into the soil itself. When you're watering, absolutely, Dr. CARY, I agree with what you said. Water in the morning, ideally. But if if it's getting late in the day, don't think, well, I don't want it to get powdery mildew, so I'm not going to give it water, because then you're going to dehydrate it. So rather, drip water. So water on the earth rather than on the leaves. And with the humidity, it's terrible. So to get rid of that powdery mildew, the neem spray works like a bomb. Skip bomb. I had it on my pumpkins. My pumpkins are growing upright, vertical. And all those leaves, I walked in this week, I think it was Tuesday. It was full of powdery mildew. I thought, no, you don't. Not on my watch, you don't. And off I went and got I use 5 liters of water. I add 2 tablespoons, 5 liters of water, 2 tablespoons of neem oil, and then I use 2.5 tablespoons of sunlight dishwash liquid. It could be any dishwash liquid. Now, normally I do 2 and 2 tablespoons, 2 liters. But because there was so much of it, and I'm going to be spraying it every day to keep that mildew away, it worked like a bomb. The next day, it was gone.
Fantastic. I love that. We're definitely going to use it in the future.
Yeah. Now we're talking about fruit trees, and this morning I went to harvest my cucumbers, and it made me think of you and the fact that we're talking fruit trees because of the kiwano melon. So for the listener, sorry, Dr. CARY, I have to say this. If you think of a kiwano melon, I always think it's like, it looks the color of a pawpaw, but it's like a banana and a cucumber had a baby. When you cut it open, it is. Because it tastes like a mix between a banana and a cucumber. And there's so many health benefits to the kiwano melon, which I think it has another name, doesn't it?
I was going to say,
or the horned melon.
Oh, yes. I was going to say terrible thing. I know it known as, up in our province, it's used a lot to make gin, actually.
Really?
It's one of the natural that people are using to flavor to make gin, which is a terrible thing. So let me take a step back.
We do not talk alcohol on this show, darling. It is haram. But it's interesting to know, knowledge doesn't occupy space. Knowledge doesn't occupy space. So for those who are looking for it at home, its botanical name, its Harry Potter name is Cucumis metuliferus. And it's one of those rare fruit. But tell us some more about some that you know about. Share with us.
So you know what I was thinking is we have a lot of people who are talking about foodscaping and in their local environment using trees to prevent. And initially I thought, oh, you're going to foodscape with your citrus, your lemons, your apples, and then I thought, and like you suggested, actually we have so many indigenous trees that would be fabulous to foodscape with. They're suited to our environment. They, actually contribute to the ecosystems, providing food for like butterflies and that sort of thing. And then it took me back to my childhood when we used to go hiking. And one of my favorite was the monkey orange, which is Strychnus, I like your Harry Potter names, the Strychnus spinosa. We call it either monkey orange or Natal orange. And it's got a really hard outer coating, but when you open it up, it's like tiny slices of, if you buy apple in a tin, those type of pieces, it's inside that. And it's a source of everything, so when we were hiking, we used to use it because it's quite hard to break the skin of it. It's a hard outer skin, but the fruit itself, it filled us with carbohydrates. It had good sugars, it had minerals, and I think you find it on almost any mountain slope. So we used to compete with the monkeys for them because we used to hear the monkeys eating them when they're in the tents, and we're like, no, that's our food, you're busy stealing there. So as I say, monkey orange is a really, really good one, easy to grow. And I think a lot of the time you could put these into your parks or on the streets. They could be garden plants as well, but sometimes they don't always look as gorgeous as our traditional garden plants. But to provide sustenance for all of us actually is really, really important. The other one.
That sounds awesome. And I believe, I looked it up as you were talking. And so I believe that this tree, when you're talking about gardenscaping, it can grow up to 8 meters tall. So you've got a nice tree on the outside of the property. Outer edge, yes.
Well, and we were talking today that how plants are going to save our planet because, it's so hot and people are looking for.
Okay, our signal is quite bad.
Oh, sorry.
Our
there we
signal
go.
is quite bad. So I'm going to, if we can just pause for a little while. Let's
Sorry.
get Dr. CARY Goodwin back on the line. I see she's turned off her camera. Yeah, well, let's give it a try. What a pretty picture.
Better.
Let's give that a try.
Okay. So the next one I thought of, and I mean, I think we all know this one, is the marula. You know, we always joke that the elephants love it so much, and again, it competes against humans and nature. Who's going to get the fruit first? But it is my favorite because I think they harvest a lot of it in Limpopo, and then we get it sold to us on the street corners in Gauteng. And oh, I love the sweetness. It's like an explosion in your mouth, almost like a South African apricot, I kind of think. And I think this is where we have to actually value our own fruit and what comes from our country. So it's often used to make jams and that sort of thing. But also I love the idea that all these fruits, you actually just pick them off the tree and you eat them raw. They can be preserved and made into jellies and jams, but the nutrients that are beneficial to our bodies and which we are all actually desperate for are from eating them raw. So I quite like that idea. I love raw fruit. It's one of my favorite things to eat.
I love the marula that you mentioned. Now, I have never tasted it. I do have a tree growing in a very large pot because I wanted to taste it. And did you know, Dr. CARY, that marula is one of those plants that supports anti-aging? So marula oil, it comes from good old South Africa, and it's going to calm your acne, and it's going to also help with age spots. So you've just mentioned one that answered the previous question as well. So thank you for that. That's marula.
Yeah. So as I said, and then we go on to the one that you find everywhere. And I always think people use this plant to almost stop soil erosion or rehabilitate your coastal areas, which is the sour fig, or Harry Potter name as the Carpobrotus edulis. So we call it the French fry plant because the leaves look like good old French fries chips. And it's a ground. And you, as I say, you really do find it everywhere. So it's the beneficial properties of it, apart from the fruit being edible, is it produces a beautiful purple flower or yellow flower, and that attracts a lot of pollinators. The actual leaves are very fleshy, so when you break them open, you could use them if you have ailments on your skin, like a mosquito bite or a bee sting. You just break the leaf and put the gel from inside onto your skin. But then the fruits themselves are actually used in Oriental cooking. So it's got quite a tart, tasty flavor. And then you could also dry it to make a syrup, which I thought was quite nice. But this is my favorite. And I read in the story, I haven't tried it yet, but I know I'm going to go and look for it now, is that young kids in the Cape, they actually bite off either sides of the fruit to open it up. And then they squish it, and they squish all the juice and the jelly into their mouths. And then
that sounds good.
Yeah, and then they just drop the pips. So they are actually the ones who are distributing the seeds throughout the where they live. So as I say, and it's a really, I mean, it's so hardy, and I know we use it a lot here to people put it on their pavements because they just want to stop the runoff. And so it's very, very drought tolerant as well. So when we're looking at plants that we can use to, you know, to feed ourselves, but they just fulfill so many more purposes than as a food source. And maybe we plant them not as a food source, but now actually we're realizing we could use them as a food source, or as you said, almost as a medicine cabinet as well, which is, I think,
give us the name of that one again. Sorry.
It's the Carpobrotus edulis. So the sour fig.
Sour fig. Okay. I actually want to write this down. Here we go.
Okay. Then, sorry, we go into the next one. And you know what I think is truly incredible is we had a customer asking us about this plant this last week, which is the waterberry. And the waterberry, the proper name is Syzygium caudatum. And he came into the garden center because he was looking for it for the seeds, which is actually, you know, and he wanted the seeds to go and plant them. He actually wanted to give them as a gift because it had, I want to say, traditional purposes in his family. And I thought, how lovely is it? He's gifting something that's so precious to his heart and part of it, almost like a family heirloom to a younger generation to pass on the story. But the waterberry itself also makes a wonderful, wonderful tree. its fruit looks like a cherry. So I'm thinking a South African cherry, but not nearly as sweet. Unfortunately, it's quite a sour, very sour fruit actually. But it is, you can sweeten it up with some to make it into a lovely jelly. So again, you could eat it raw if you have that taste for tartness or sourness in the mouth. But it does form a beautiful, beautiful tree, and some people use it for hedging as well.
So I have one of those, and I know that the waterberry is part of a whole big family of trees, which is the lily pilly. And the lily pilly it's also, you're hitting them all on the head. I mean, this is also a wonderful anti-aging and an immune booster deluxe. One of my favorite things is to actually pop outside this time of the year when the fruit is coming in. My waterberry is a little bit longer, almost like one of those longish grapes. And you're right, it's quite tart. It's tart, but there's like a, how do you describe a pink taste? But it's a pink taste.
Does that mean it tastes like marshmallow? I'm thinking pink tastes like marshmallow.
Do you know if you've ever had pink lemonade?
Yes.
So think of a lemon. Here we go. A lemon and a rose had a baby, and here you have, it's a fruit, and it tastes like a little bit tart, like the lemon. A touch of cream of tartar, kind of acidity to it, but it has this rose flavor as well. So I can imagine it would do well with syrups.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it actually is making me very hungry. So the next one, I think, and this is like, to me, represents a truly South African plant, is the Kai apple. So yes, so we would know it as a Dovialis, and it used to be planted a lot around like your kraals. I mean, I know for us on the farm, we used it as a hedge because it forms a beautiful, quite a thick hedge, but it's got quite a nasty thorn inside it. So you don't really see it from the outside. But if anybody was trying to break into your property or anything, they would get a very nasty wound from the thorns. So it works as a fantastic security. But then it forms this beautiful, beautiful fruit, which is now, this has got a tangy flavor. Okay. It does provide quite a lot of tangy but sweet again. It's got lots of vitamin C. And I think we lose the fact that actually a lot of our indigenous fruit is very high in vitamin C, which is an essential thing that we miss in our body because it's water soluble. You know, as soon as you start drinking a lot of water and everything, the vitamin C just runs out of our body. And so I don't know how much we need, probably a little bit more to keep us more healthy. I would say it's a really, really delicious fruit to use. But again, it could be used in jams because it is quite tangy, the flavor.
Wow. So I looked that up as you were talking, as I'm about to do when you're talking, and I'm fascinated by this. And I'm looking at the picture. I want to describe for the listener at home. Think of it looks like, here we go with my crosses again. It looks like a yellow plum and an apple had a baby. That's what it looks like. But then you cut it open and it looks like it has almost like a persimmon type look on the inside, and there's these little white seeds in it that almost look like a pumpkin. What a fascinating little tree. Why don't I have one of these? I want one.
I was going to say, I think they're quite easily to find because of most people don't buy them because of their fruit. They buy them because of their hedging properties. So it's a really good protection plant. And then the fruit is just a bonus on the outside. I think when we have it on the farm, I'm trying to think, I think the fruit is a little bit too tangy for the monkeys to really enjoy it. So we need to compete with the monkeys for the flavor of the Kai apple. But it is a really lovely plant.
I see here also that it's got quite a high amount of pectin. So for the listener at home, if you're wanting the jam recipe, because of course I wanted it immediately, it's 1 kilo of K apples, include some unripe ones for more pectin, 1/2 cup of boiling water, and 1 kilo of white sugar. So with all the sugar, maybe not something you want to have all the time, but that sounds absolutely delicious. You just put it in a pot and boil it up, and there you go. So tell us more. I'm sure you have more up your sleeve.
We have some others. Then the other one was the red milkwood, which
Yes.
is and I'm going to say the scientific name, Minisops zerii, and
I
I
love
just
that.
like rolls off my tongue. So it seems
Okay,
better
we
than-
need to ask you to just repeat that for us. You are breaking up, so perhaps a little slower.
Okay, so it's called a Minisops
Yes.
zerii, but its common name is red milkwood.
Milkwood. Okay.
Finally, one of the sweeter fruit trees. So its fruit is a little bit more sweet, a little bit more high in natural sugars, and it kind of looks like a bit of an orange. Again, it's very high in vitamin C. So I thought that was quite a nice one as a difference, because a few of the other fruits we've been speaking about now almost seem more, if we were comparing them to natural fruits, I want to say more like an apple. So they have, like you say, that harder texture inside, almost like a stone fruit, compared to the milkwood is still not like you're going to open it up and it's going to be an orange. It looks a little bit more like an orange. It's a little bit bigger. I think it's actually, the fruit itself is only the size of a plum, but it's nice and sweet. And so I thought, when you're going for those long hikes or walking around and you just need some for that boost of energy, this would be one of the ones that you would just pick off the tree, bite open, and, enjoy it. And I thought,
Oh, that does sound good. And at 15 meters tall, my word. Growing
you might
to
be
15 meters. You got a lot of fruit to pick at 15 meters, and you'll feed the monkeys.
Absolutely. So again, this is where, these trees are, I don't want to say you don't find them easily in your garden centers because they're not very common, but you would find them in your areas where people are walking, where people are living in the villages, where people know how to use them. And I think that's so lovely that we get to chat about this, because this traditional knowledge is being lost. The benefits of these plants, which are so suitable to our South African climate, are being lost because we've moved into towns and cities. And actually, we should still be planting them in our towns and our cities and our parks to be able to give our natural environment, create that ecosystem, not only for ourselves, but for some of the birds and other things that might be around.
We have so many trees lining our pavements and lining the in the middle of the highways. And I'm thinking, why don't they plant these in? I mean, they're indigenous, first of all.
Yes.
They provide fruit for animals. I suppose maybe they're thinking the cleanup as the fruit falls, but then you've got an ecosystem there anyway. So what a wonderful thing. And I hope that none of these are kind of heading for extinction, but that we can preserve them. I'm looking at the one you just mentioned here, the red milkwood, right? Also known as umpushani in Zulu and Nhlanzwa in Tsonga. So
I'm
definitely,
impressed.
I'm impressed. I can read it. I can't speak it, unlike many of our listeners in Durban. On a side note, when I moved to Durban, I realized how many people here are fluent in Zulu.
Isn't it wonderful?
Inadequate.
So I still have another one or two. Can I?
Yes, please.
This is not a tree, but again, it's a fantastic shrub, and I think you would all know it is the num-num, which is Carissa macrocarpa. So the num-num plant, again, it's a nice hardy evergreen, gets a beautiful white flower, gets a lovely red berry. And actually, we plant them in the nursery, and I think we end up eating more of the fruits than anybody else. We don't even let the customers get close to the fruits, because it's just, again, it's that refreshing. While you're having a work, you just break off the fruit, pop it in your mouth. It's, we harvest the pips, but it's a beautiful, nice and easy. It can grow quite big, but we use it as hedges, or it goes under plants. It's a beautiful plant to have in your garden, and as I said, just provide that little bit of a lower hedge and a nice structural shrub. You could prune it into a shape if you wanted, and the fruits are
like.
So the num-num plant is another one.
What does it taste like?
I'm thinking it's got almost like a bit of a plum taste, and a slightly more sour. I'm trying to think. when you take your plum and you've sort of dried it, but it's not quite into that raisin type. Oh no, that's a grape. You can see I love eating more wild fruit than normal fruit. It's got a, I don't know. I feel all these indigenous fruits. I'm so impressed how you managed to link this and this and this to give you that taste. I feel they have such individual tastes in their own right because they're so foreign to us, if that makes sense.
Yes,
So
yes.
taste them, you're actually using completely different taste buds to the ones that you would eat when you ate an apricot or an orange, because they almost make you use all the 4 different taste buds on your tongue. You know, your tongue is divided into them. So you get to use that sour bit when you first take the bite, and then as it explores further onto your tongue, you get that a little bit of a pink sugar explosion. And I find
You
with
make
a lot
my mouth water.
I'm thinking, but that's what a lot of these indigenous fruits, because it's not something normal that we eat, it feels strange in your mouth when you eat them. They're quite, a lot of them are quite fleshy in terms of they might be a little bit more hairy. Like if we go back to the marula, you know, you actually have to almost suck those juices off the hairs of the plant that's in of the pip. And so I think it's completely different eating natural indigenous fruit, and we should experiment it, but obviously know what you're eating, because you don't want to go and eat something that's poisonous. So also look at what else is eating it to know if it's edible for humans, or look it up on
And
Google.
then we've got time for one more.
Oh
One
no,
more.
okay, sorry. And then the other one, which is really important, is the wild medlar, which is called a vanguria. And the wild medlar has an apple taste. So I thought this was quite a nice one, because it again has that apple fleshiness, but it's again the size of apricot, so it's much smaller. But it is one of the tastes that we might be able to relate to a little bit more, is that it's got that apple flavor to it, which is one of my favorite flavors to actually eat.
You know, I'm looking at a picture of it, and you know when you get the roses go into rose hips, and then you get the little fruit, and so if you think about how it's like a little bubble, and then it's got those kind of, I suppose, little dry sharp bits on one end, almost like a persimmon has. I see that the medlar also has this, a little bit like a persimmon look to it. It's interesting, but it goes brown. That's fascinating. Wow, I think we've lost Dr. CARY Goodwin. My word. And yet that is all that we have had time for today. I hope you're going to go off and try to find some of these. Look them up. I'm going to give you a quick summary of some of the ones that you mentioned, because I wrote them down. Yes, I did. The first thing we spoke about was the horned melon, or kiwano melon with a K. Then we've got the marula. Dr. CARY spoke to us about the K apple, and the K apple with a unique tangy flavor. The monkey apple that's got that hard outer shell that apparently is like a mango and a banana had a baby. Bananas be having babies with all sorts of fruits lately. My goodness, from the kiwano melon to the monkey orange, and then the imbu. Imbu was something that I saw, which is similar to a ripe apricot, the flesh being juicy and aromatic. Juicy and aromatic. Let's have a look here. We've got Fatima saying, send us all those names about the fruits. So they are on our YouTube video, and we're going to wrap up. We have got Sister Salma KW coming up with the Sunday Lounge, and Fatima Effendi on YouTube has sent us a message. She says, hi, mashallah pics, nice to see you. Oh, great to see you too, Sister Fatima. She says, I love sour fig confit. Here we go, sour fig jam. Sour fig jam. Another comment that came in on YouTube. You need a farm for all of this fruit. If you think about it, did you know that these fruit trees, although they grow really, really big, you can grow most fruit trees in a pot if the pot is big enough. So you take a 45-liter or a 50, 60-liter pot, and you can actually grow we'll just disconnect you from Dr. CARY. You can grow them in the pots. But if you're growing fruit in plants in pots, Remember to keep them well watered. Remember to insulate the pot on the inside. And if you've bought a TV recently, bubble wrap is horrible stuff. But if you line the inside of your pot with it, then you're recycling. And what happens is it keeps the heat away from the actual soil. So that's a good thing to remember. Mulch your pots, feed them. And then once a year, just take the soil on the outside of the pot, lift it out and add in some food. And that is all we have time for today. So stay tuned for Sister Salma. She's coming in with the Sunday Lounge. And don't forget, as jy die soek, dan kom het round the corner. Here comes the soek. Until next week, remember, today is a beautiful day to be happy. From me, from Brother Ashfat and the whole team. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Green leaves are green. There's no need to see flowers any other way than the way they always have been seen. And the little boy said, there were so many colors in rainbow.
I love this. What can I do? Maybe I should have that thing you can give me before.
Oh, you had a shot,
Someone told me to take half of that shot thing. I think